back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Alt Kings podcast. I'm your host, Tate, and today I have the pleasure of speaking with Super Eagle Coin from the XRPL. Now, Super Eagle Coin is the world's first dedicated protest token on the XRPL, aiming to tokenize the movement to ask for clear regulations and clarity on what they can and cannot do with digital currencies. Chris, how are you doing today?
Great. Thanks, Tate. Thanks so much for having me. Really excited to be on the podcast. Happy to talk about cryptocurrency, XRPL, and maybe even Super Eagle Coin.
That's all I'm here for today is actually Super Eagle Coin itself. But yeah, we can dive into a wide variety of different topics if you're interested. What I'm curious to know right off the bat is what kind of really inspired Super Eagle Coin to come to life in a sense. I mean, you've been around for coming up on 2 years now. You started this project in Q2 of 2021. So since then, I mean, anybody who's been supporting the XRPL from Q2 of 2021 has seen a lot. And I'm curious to know, like, where'd you get the vision for Super Eagle Coin?
I've been around cryptocurrency for, I think, since 2016, 2017. And I was always big into XRP and XRPL. And I rode that wave at the end of 2017. And I think at that point, there's something changed. I've just been obsessed with XRP ever since. And then as, everyone's experienced, all these, the lawsuit came through.
Yep.
And this sort of project sort of came out of frustration, really. A lot of the basis of this lawsuit was there's no utility. We're all just buying shares of Ripple disguised, in a different form. And I knew that wasn't true. I knew about utility at XRPL. I knew that you could generate tokens. I knew that there was ongoing development. And so I just sort of thought, look, one way to show some of these regulators that there is actually utility would be to do something with it. So there weren't many tokens on the XRPL at the time. So I thought naming a token with the acronym SEC would be provocative.
Yeah, definitely.
Maybe someone would notice it. So I thought, let's do it. And then, so that's how Super Eagle Coin or SEC Coin was born.
That's incredible. I mean, you've been around for coming up on 2 years now. And throughout that timeline, what have you really noticed the most within kind of this lawsuit and regulatory clarity? I know that we've been in the lawsuit for pretty much that whole entire time, actually a little bit longer than that whole entire time, actually. But what have you really noticed with this lawsuit conspiring and evolving to what it is today and soon, hopefully, seeing regulatory clarity?
Well, the lawsuit itself hasn't really brought any clarity with it. There's a lot of still, we're not allowed to see these emails. We're not allowed to know a lot of details. A lot of these regulators sort of operate, behind closed doors, and that's sort of their style. And I guess, it's a complex area, and they're sort of saying that these old rules about orange groves and things relate to the cryptocurrencies, and maybe they do, but I'm confused essentially, and I'm looking forward to the end of it. And a judge who sifted through all of this and essentially said, look, this is the outcome. And I dislike the lawsuit, but I'm excited anyway to see the resolution of it, and interested to see what the outcome is overall, actually.
Yeah, I agree to that point. I definitely can't wait to see what the outcome is overall. But it's what I've really noticed within these 2-3 years, just Ripple being in this lawsuit. I've just noticed how many snakes are in the grass and how many snakes that have been in the grass that not too many people have known about. And they're really just starting to appear here and there out of thin air in a sense. And it's quite interesting to see, how many bad actors there are because, when you're dealing with some of these people's statures within, the legal sort of just for instance, Gary Gensler with the SEC, kind of where he stepped in with his position as the head of the SEC, taking over Jay Clayton's position. He kind of stepped into this position blindsided from what he made it seem to look like. But in reality, I feel as if there was a lot more going on behind the scenes that nobody really knew about. And we can kind of just see it now based upon how he's really utilized this lawsuit and what he's done with it, because nothing's really changed. It's not like he's trying to actually help investors. It seems as if he's just trying to push away, you know, cryptocurrency from the United States in a way, and it's quite sad to see at the end of the day.
Well, I mean, I think it's a tough job. You know, it's not a job I would want.
Yeah.
I imagine there's lots of um, power brokers sort of operating in the shadows who you've got to appease. You know, I appreciate that it would be tough, but I mean, and again, you know, that we're all investors on the end of this, and you know, I personally suffered because of this lawsuit, and you know, I don't live in the US, I don't visit there, I don't go there, but it's still, you know, it still affects me, and because I was in XRP, because Ripple was a big player in the XRP ecosystem. I mean, you know, we all lost because of that.
Yep.
And I was frustrated, and this is, you know, starting a protest token was sort of one way I thought I could address the issue.
Makes sense. So diving into Super Eagle, I mean, so you have the SEC token that you started in Q2 of 2021, and that was based off of XLS 14D. Whenever we didn't have native NFTs on the XRPL yet, we were still waiting on XLS 20D to come out. But so starting that token, what did you see from the get go? I mean, did you have a mass amount of people onboarded to the SEC token right out the gates, or what kind of happened once you launched it?
I mean, it would be like anyone else starting, you know, launching a token or starting a small business. Nobody's interested. Nobody wants the time of day. You know, you're sort of begging people to take notice. Uh, that I remember I had one loyal follower. I remember he was a really nice chap, and we used to talk a lot. He was onboarded very quickly. Um, and it was essentially just me and him for quite a few
Is he
months.
still around?
No,
Wow.
no, I think he told me that he sold out and he renovated his bathroom, and that I was, to be honest, it's one of my like. I was a bit proud of this moment because he was like, oh, he wrote to me and he said, oh look, I'm really sorry, Chris, I've got to like bow out. You know, I sold up all my SEC coins, or and but I've now I've got enough money to renovate my entire bathroom, and he said some nice things and things. So
He better have sent
uh,
you a photo of that bathroom after it was all done.
I should follow him up. I should follow him up. But yeah, I think he sold out pretty quickly. But he was down there for the tough times at the start. But you know when you start these coins, they're worthless, and by
Yeah.
you know, nothing backing them. So you sort of begging people to take them, and I remember I ran a competition once, and the winner it was 20 XRP and like I think it was like 100,000 SEC coins,
Wow.
and the winner was like, "Oh, actually, I'll just take the XRP and you can keep the SEC coin. Like, to do whatever you want with it." I'm like, okay, fair enough. Um, then I think then there was this gold rush of influx into tokens. All of a sudden, I think it's sort of 2021. I think cryptocurrency as a whole was going up, but the XRPL had this sort of rush into tokens on XRPL, and
Yep.
you know, I was proud of that. 'Cause it felt like, you know, there's a couple of us who started tokens at the same time. It was sort of part of that rush. But yeah, we just saw so many people coming in, and people wanting to be a part of the project, believing in the vision, and we saw a bit of a rush on it. So that changed the whole dynamic really.
Yeah, definitely.
But I think there was definitely luck involved with that. You know, I was in the right place at the right time.
Timing has a big factor to do with a lot of people's, choices and investments at the end of the day. I mean, think about getting into Doge or say Pepe at the times whenever they weren't necessarily known by anyone. Same goes with
Yep.
Bitcoin and XRP and majority of cryptocurrencies out there. Just if you're one of the early adopters to one of these tokens and they do go on their runs, it could be life-changing wealth at the end of the day. It's just a matter of being there and when and where at the end of the day. But so you started the token. We finally got XLS20D. Now we have a wide variety of marketplaces within the XRPL ecosystem. Where did you launch the native NFTs for Super Eagle Coin?
Yeah. So a lot of my project has been like building development for the XRPL and being
Gotcha.
part of that. So, I was excited as anyone to see native NFTs. Um, but in the lead up, I'd done a lot of my own development and tech and things. So issuing NFTs was sort of, I don't want to say trivial, but like I didn't want to pigeonhole my project into one of these marketplaces because it was sort of a bit this sort of, oh, come with us and you can be exclusive to our exchange, or you can go exclusive to some other one exchange. So to be honest, I didn't want to pick. I didn't see an obvious winner, so I issued them myself, and
Nice.
we have. So they're all self-issued, really.
Oh, that's incredible. I've seen them on a couple of marketplaces, but it's nice to see that, you self-issued them to your holders that stayed loyal through the thick and thin, and even the new holders that came about. I know you have a vast, wide variety of collections within the Super
Mm.
Eagle coin, ecosystem. You have your Genesis Super Eagles, your Sologenic Super Eagles, your Faucet Super Eagles, your Telegram Super Eagles, and then the custom project Super Eagles. You mind giving
Mm.
me just a brief rundown on each of these different styles of Super Eagles by chance?
Yeah, sure, sure. Well, I mean, it's sort of a bit like they sort of, in my mind, they're sort of cataloging this history of the XRPL. I should backtrack a little bit before because the first exchange that came out was Sologenic.
Yes.
They had an XLS 14 based
Yep.
exchange, and I thought that was pretty cool. So I had a separate collection that was exclusive to Sologenic, and that's where the Sologenic collection comes from. So there's 1,000 Super Eagles that we issued on Sologenic,
Sure.
and that was a one at a time minting process. So I sort of manually minted all of those one at a time
At
for
least it was fairly
1,000.
cheap.
Yeah, yeah, it wasn't too expensive. They burnt 3 solo for every one that was minted. Um, so that's the Sologenic collection. They're now because a lot of these marketplaces are decentralized. You can now get those on XRP Cafe as well. So they've started integrating some selected Sologenic collections. So we're
Nice.
thankful that XRP Cafe have listed that Sologenic collection. So that's great. The next ones. Oh well, I should say the Genesis collection were first. So before Sologenic had their exchange, I was minting my own XLS 14 NFTs one at a time, and essentially auctioning them off to my holders. So people would come onto Telegram. We had a custom auction bot. People were bidding in Super Eagle Coin, and the winners, I was giving them the XLS 14 Genesis Eagle. And since XLS 14, so the native NFT has come out, there's been a swap mechanism. So you swap your old XLS 14 Genesis for the new XLS 20. So that's sort of, there's been a evolution in that Genesis line.
Nice.
So that's sort of our very first collection. And I should say these are all Eagle characters. All of these are breedable in our breeding game. The Faucet Eagles and the Custom Eagles come from a similar process. I made this algorithm where you can take an XRP address and it eagleifies it. So it takes the characters in your address and turns it into one of my Eagle characters. So The first one was the faucet. Was I sold 75 of these faucet eagles, but essentially it was people taking their original XRP addresses, putting them in my algorithm, generating your own personal eagle, and then I would mint them as XLS 14. And since then, I've swapped them to 20. So they're both LSS 20s, and people can breed those as well. Then the Telegram Eagles are the same sort of concept, but they were slightly more expensive, and I sold a few of those through Telegram. I think there's only like 13 or 14 of those out there.
Okay.
And the custom Eagles, that's the other one. So these are when you run these projects, a lot of other projects come to you and sort of say, we'd like to do a collaboration, we'll do a NFT that matches each other. So I had quite a few projects who we made eagles based off their other XRPL NFT projects. And they are regrettably still XLS 14. We're at the process of integrating them into the algorithm, and they still need to be swapped to XLS 20. So, but they're really cool, and I can't wait to see those in XLS 20 and then usable in the breeding game. That's what I'm very excited for.
So everything but the customs are usable within the Super Eagle Coin breeding game, correct?
Yeah, at the moment.
Okay.
At the moment.
Nice.
So customs are coming. I get asked every day, and there's sort of only like 15 out there. So, but they once they are usable, they're going to be really powerful because the custom traits essentially are inaccessible to anyone unless they own the custom eagles.
Gotcha. Awesome. Well, now that we have a brief overview of all your different various Super Eagles, and I kind of want to know now what the Super Eagle Coin game is. You're hinting at it is a breedable game, so I'm assuming you take two various types of Super Eagles themselves, and you can breed them together to get a baby eagle. Am I right?
Yeah. So it's playable today. So we have sort of I think it's like 50 to 60 active users each day. But they essentially, how it works is you bring your adult super eagles, and there's various nests that are upgradable within the game. So you can spend super eagle coin to upgrade your nests, upgrade your breeding with various potions that they're all available in the game. You nest your two adults for a set time. The base time period is 2 weeks,
Okay.
so 14 days. But you can decrease that time by buying potions. And if you nest for 2 weeks, you earn Super Eagle coin for that nesting time. And it's the amount that you earn each day is dropped into your wallet is based on how many Super Eagle NFTs you have. So if you have 20, which is the maximum for each wallet, you earn 81 SEC every day, or Super Eagle coin every day.
Oh, wow.
It's sort of like a staking mechanism.
Sure.
So
Yeah, makes sense.
You're earning by playing. So you at the end of the 2 weeks or the time period, your baby eagle hatches, and there's this, there's pixel art animation for all of this, and we had some really good artists sort of draw up all this pixel art. But your baby hatches, and then you go to the reward section in game, and you can see your new baby eagle, and it's based off the traits of your adults, and there's a chance of getting rare secret traits. So there are certain traits that can only pop up if certain parameters are hit that are often secret, and essentially they're never before seen traits.
Gotcha.
So there's more secret traits than regular traits. So I find it really exciting because me and my team came up with all of this, and then seeing everyone play and seeing all these baby eagles being developed, like stuff that we hadn't thought of, and it looks amazing. So I'm having such a blast watching people enjoy it.
Sure, yeah, it's definitely quite interesting. So I'm curious to know now is can these, baby eagles, can they grow up to become adult eagles eventually? And the next thing would be what is the value proposition behind these baby eagles after, staking your two adults for this? And my final thing is do you have to burn the adults to receive the baby or will you be able to keep the adults after receiving the baby?
Yeah, yeah. Um, to answer your last question first. So your adult eagles never get burnt, so you retain ownership to them. So they're your NFTs. It's essentially a soft staking
Yeah.
mechanism. I don't take your adults from you to do the staking. I just each day the game checks that you're still holding it. Actually, it checks more often than that, but you essentially always own them. And the cool thing about it is that as soon as your baby eagle is generated, you can restake your adults, and they will keep generating baby
Oh,
eagles.
nice.
There's no limit to how many baby eagles a single pair can make. There is a limit for the total number of baby eagles. So the baby eagle collection is 100,000 collection.
Wow.
Yeah. So there's been 4% minted. So we've in about when did we start? So we probably started doing this. I think November last year because the game was running pre Xless 20. So it's been going for about 6-7 months, and we're sort of at 4% of the minted collection. So yeah, so if anyone who has two adults, you've essentially there's no cap on how many babies they can produce. You are limited because you can't generate traits. Say if you really love the laser eagles, if you're laser eyed eagles, say, and you have two adult eagles that don't have laser eyes, I mean your babies will never have laser eyes. You've got to go out and say, I really want that trait, make an offer, get that trait, and bring it in. So it's sort of there's this fostering of trading within that community. So people will go and be like, oh, I really want a gold skinned eagle. I really want a crystal eagle. And people are like, oh, well, I've been using this with this one. Maybe I can swap for a week or swap for 2 weeks. And so there's been people trading amongst the community, which I think is really nice.
Yeah.
Um, it's, it's, I managing an NFT community takes up a lot of my time. I don't get to spend a lot of time in other NFT communities, unfortunately. But what I really love about our one is there's an active process. People are playing. People are always showing off their new baby eagles. It's like it's like a new mint every week or every 2
Yep.
weeks, and everyone's showing off what they've minted. And you've essentially, if the game plays out, it's probably got about 3-4 years of minting to go. So I mean, it's sort of 3-4 years of us all hanging out and showing what baby eagles we've created that week.
Yeah, it's
Uh,
definitely something where you're constantly always allowed to engage with, just the platform itself. And it's nice to
yeah,
have because, over time some people potentially lose attention and lose attraction to, different projects if they're not necessarily always providing. But you have a platform where, you know, every week or every other week, if you say you have at least two super eagles, you'll always be able to generate a new baby eagle, which can always be completely different, and you can get those surprise traits also. So
yeah,
what are these
exactly.
what are these what's the value proposition behind the baby eagles besides just, the collective art of the collection of 100,000 NFTs? Do you plan on
Oh yeah,
providing any additional value besides that, or what are you looking at?
yeah. You did ask that before. Yeah. So essentially, I did think about this a lot. You know, I mean, with crypto kitties, for example, they're another classic breeding game. My understanding of it was you could the next generation could breed the next generation, and then your sort of crypto kitties that you bred were then breedable. I sort of thought to take it a different direction. So Our baby eagles have a completely different property. The concept for them is they you can grow them up, but you're growing them up into a new dimension. So there's a 3D adult art that's available. So all the baby eagles, all the original traits, all the surprise you said, all secret traits, um, have an adult 3D avatar version, and these are all fully rendered 3D models that we're in discussion with metaverse projects to make 3D avatars. So we're hoping you can take your favorite baby eagle, or how many baby eagles you like, uh, grow them into a metaverse style avatar, and essentially explore the metaverse with your next NFT. And I sort of see this as the next step, and that's what you get when you come into our ecosystem is, our NFTs roll over into the next one, and there's new generations, and we're not just going to do the same thing every generation. But there's an evolving process. But yeah, the NFT art is fantastic for the 3D eagles, and I've posted a bit on Twitter at the moment, and I've learned I'm not tech minded myself actually, but I've spent the past few months learning this all this 3D software and how to manipulate it myself. So that's been fun, interesting process. But yeah, the art itself is amazing.
Yeah, it definitely looks very nice. I really like those 3D pieces because they're one going to be able to implement within any sort of metaverse or game that is capable of implementing that itself. But
Mm.
it looks really like an eagle. Like you're able to see completely around 360 degrees, and it's nice to have that full on overview of what the eagle actually looks like, plus the quality in depth detail that it also provides. Is these
Yeah,
3D Eagles, is this your Generation 3 collection, or is this Gen 3 something completely different?
no, this is Generation 3. So Generation 1 is like the adult eagles,
Yes.
and then Generation 2 is the baby
Yep.
eagles, and then the Generation 3 is these 3D avatars.
Nice.
So
Amazing.
yeah, I mean, I think I've said this before in like interviews. I'm just having a blast with all of this. Like,
And that's
this
all
is
that
really
matters,
fun for
Chris.
me. Yeah, this is really fun for me, and people want to join along and see where things go. Like, I love it, but to be honest, like, well, there's just so much development that's happening on the XRPL. There's some very intelligent people doing some very cool things. Hooks are coming, and there's so much more and more stuff, and so I'm really excited by it. It's an evolving chain that people are actively working on. I guess I'm excited to be a part of it. So um, I just like being here, and I think the project really is fun to be a part of. I met some fantastic people doing it. It's been a blast, really.
I can only imagine. And, at the end of the day, as long as you're having fun with what you do, that's all that really matters in my eyes. And it's nice to be able to, have a feel for the community and who's within the community and supporting you on, a daily, weekly, monthly basis. And it shows that, there's people out here who actually care about what you're doing. And not only just what you're doing, but a wide variety of other NFT projects on the XRPL as well. And it's just great to see that support. We all can support XRP at the end of the day, but will we support those who also support the XRPL? And
Mm,
it shows a lot within the community on XRP and the people who are also surrounding the XRPL and developing out their great projects, developing out just everything that goes within in and out of the XRPL. It's just really nice to see overall. My final question for you, Chris, I just want to say thank you for taking the time once again to join me on this podcast. But where does the future of Super Eagle Coin, where is it by chance? Where do you see a year or two from now besides just the breeding game?
yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, essentially the 3D collection is where we're really going. There's so much more potential to evolve. Um, with the integration with metaverse, you sort of, I know a lot of people throw the metaverse around quite lightly, but I mean it's going to take a lot of time to develop
Yep.
something that's functional, that's usable, and that essentially somewhere where you want to be. So you know I'm hoping to be a part of it, and we're building models that we think will be compatible. But I don't expect that to take days or weeks or months. Like, this is going to be a year or years of effort to get a good metaverse where we can all hang out so I mean that's where I'd love to take it. That's where we're trying to take it. So and we'd always try to be realistic about this sort of stuff, because everyone can be promised the world, but I mean, if you don't deliver, then what's the point? So yeah, I think in 2 years' time, you'll be able to use your third generation Super Eagle, which you've grown from your baby eagle, in the metaverse. This is something that you've grown from your two favorite Genesis eagles. You've got a baby eagle that you really like. You've grown it up into your 3D adult, and then we're all hanging out in like the eagle nests, in a metaverse somewhere. That's where I see the project.
All I look at it like is this. It's basically, I'm trying to think of the best way of wording it. It's just, provide as little detail as possible on regards of your vision, and then over provide on the vision itself. And that will, at the end of the day, simply just help move along the project in the right direction, and help reassure investors within your project where you're actually going, and that you actually care, because you're over providing within the project itself. And so, thank you once again, Chris, for taking the time to join me on the Alt Kings podcast. I truly wish you the best in all of your endeavors, and I look forward to seeing where Super Eagle Coin project is in the next 1 to 2 years and down the line as well. I'd love to have you on also down the line. But ladies and gentlemen, with this being said, this has been the Alt Kings podcast, and we will see you all next episode. Peace.